Welcome back to our channel. You've probably seen a 1982, 1990, or even a 2016 penny and never gave it a second thought, but some of these ordinary coins carry shocking errors that turn them into rare treasures worth thousands. From missing mint marks to dramatic strike mistakes, these tiny details could mean a massive payday. Want to know what secrets your pennies might be hiding? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Your next coin could change everything. Let's start with 1982. The early 1980s brought a wave of transformation to the United States Mint. Economic pressure loomed large over every federal agency, and cost-cutting was the order of the day. Copper prices had surged alarmingly in the late 70s, and by 1982, producing a single cent cost more than a penny. The U.S. Mint was forced to make a subtle yet critical decision that would echo far beyond its intended administrative effect. The composition of the humble penny, long a symbol of American currency, was to be changed. From solid copper to a copper-plated zinc core, nearly imperceptible to the casual eye, but significant enough to create a ripple of confusion and eventually fascination. Philadelphia and Denver mints began rolling out both types of pennies that year, some still solid copper, weighing 3.11 grams, and others the new zinc-based version, weighing 2.5 grams. It was an unusual overlap in production. Most years adhered to strict uniformity. But in 1982, there were not only two compositions in circulation, there were also two designs, large date and small date. These subtle variations, born from both necessity and haste, paved the way for one of the most captivating coin errors in modern numismatic history. It didn't make headlines. Not right away. In fact, for years, the 1982 penny passed unnoticed through hands, cash registers, coin jars, and vending machines. Most people were more interested in reaganomics than the precise curvature of a date stamp on a 1-cent coin. But in quiet corners of hobbyist groups and collector circles, something curious was starting to stir. Weights didn't add up. Appearances varied. Small details felt inconsistent. Patterns were forming, not loudly, but insistently. It was a routine Saturday afternoon when Alan, a mid-level coin collector from St. Louis, sat at his desk armed with a magnifier and a well-worn digital scale. He had purchased an unsorted roll of 1982 pennies online, a fairly inexpensive indulgence he often enjoyed. His eye wasn't trained for high-stakes discoveries, but he had learned to be observant. As he sifted through the roll, separating the copper-heavy coins from their lighter counterparts, one small-date penny clinked unusually on the metal tray. He weighed it. 3.11 grams. That couldn't be right. Small-date pennies in 1982 from the Denver Mint marked with a familiar D beneath the date were supposed to be struck only on zinc planchets. At least, that was the consensus. Denver produced copper coins too, yes, but the official records indicated they were all large date. A small date D mint mark on a copper planchet wasn't listed in any reference material Allen owned. He blinked, then blinked again. He weighed the coin twice more. He set it aside and tried to forget it, but the thought nagged at him through the weekend. By Monday, he called and helped local coin dealers, online forums, even a friend with access to a more precise scale. Each verification pulled him deeper into a realization he didn't yet dare to speak aloud. The coin was genuine, and it didn't belong to any documented category. Rumors had existed. Whispers among collectors of a phantom variety that had never been confirmed. The 1982 D small date copper cent. A coin so unlikely that even seasoned numismatists doubted its existence. It wasn't just rare, it was heretical. The Denver Mint had no record of striking a small date copper coin. It wasn't supposed to be real, but Allen had it. Verification took time. He submitted the coin to two top-tier grading agencies. Both returned it authenticated. Both labeled it what it was, 1982 D small date copper. It was the kind of validation that redefined collections. And it came with questions no one had clear answers for. Was it a transitional error? A test strike? An unnoticed handful that slipped through during the mint switchover chaos? Theories bloomed like spring flowers. Some claimed that a few old copper planchets had mistakenly remained in the coin presses as the new zinc planchets were loaded. Others whispered darker possibilities: intentional mint insider actions, covert collector dealings. The mystery was both a complication and a blessing. With ambiguity came excitement. With uncertainty came value. Before Allen's discovery, 1982 pennies were mostly bulk sorted by composition and date size. Prices hovered modestly. Collectors cared, but only in a scholarly way. That changed after the authentication of Allen's coin. It was a one-of-a-kind confirmed specimen. Interest surged. Initially, offers were hesitant. 5,000. Then 10. It wasn't the kind of coin most auction houses knew how to handle. It wasn't cataloged. It didn't appear in standard pricing guides. It was pure speculation and pure adrenaline. Allen declined the early offers. He wasn't ready. Neither was the world. Over the next few years, the value trajectory morphed dramatically. As word of the coin spread, so did the appetite to find another. Treasure hunters scoured penny jars, bank rolls, even old shoeboxes from attics. Every 1982 penny with a small date was scrutinized. But the vast majority were zinc. Lighter. Wrong. The copper ones, when they appeared, had large dates. Still wrong. Hope dwindled. But it also fed the legend. Then, in a twist no one anticipated, a second 1982 small date copper penny surfaced. It was found not by a veteran collector, but by a teenage boy in Arizona, sorting through pocket change with his grandfather. They recognized the date style from online articles and weighed it on a kitchen scale. It fluctuated between 3.1 and 3.2 grams. Close enough. They sent it for grading. It was real. Now there were but instead of diluting the first coin's uniqueness, the second coin did the opposite. It ignited a frenzy. Values doubled, then tripled. By 2017, Allen's coin had been offered upwards of $100,000, still without any consensus on how many might exist. Some experts believed fewer than 5 would ever be found. Others thought 2 was the final count. After all, thousands had searched. Only 2 had emerged. And in a sea of billions of pennies, that was statistically shocking. The coins themselves weren't flashy. No glaring visual deformities. No double dies or missing letters. The error was quiet, hidden. It lived in the alloy, the mint mark, and the curvature of a date style. Only those who knew what to look for would ever notice. And that was part of the allure. It was a mystery hiding in plain sight. Collectors began calling it the ghost variant. Dealers took to warning others that the 1982 small date copper penny might well be a lifetime search with no guarantee of success. And yet, the legend made it irresistible. More than its monetary worth, it was the thrill of discovering something that wasn't supposed to exist. A penny that whispered its defiance against bureaucracy, precision, and predictability. In late 2022, a third coin appeared. Unlike the first 2, this one showed signs of circulation. Its edges were worn. A faint scratch ran through the Liberty inscription, but it weighed 3.11 grams. It bore the unmistakable small date profile, and it had the D. Another confirmation followed. 3 coins. 3 windows into a near impossible mistake. The third coin, perhaps because of its circulated condition, was valued slightly lower. It sold privately for over $50,000, still a remarkable sum for a penny. The story had changed again. What was once a singular error had become a secret trio, a tight-knit anomaly in U.S. mint history. And speculation grew louder. Was there a fourth? A fifth? How many unassuming coins sat unrecognized in coin jars across America? The twist, though, came not in the number, But in the origin, a former Denver Mint employee, now retired and in his 80s, came forward in a 2024 interview. He spoke cautiously but with clarity. During the early months of 1982, he recalled confusion on the production floor. Orders were unclear. Some presses used old stock planchets. He remembered a brief period, perhaps only a few days, when small date dies were accidentally paired with copper blanks. No one questioned it. It was a whirlwind of change. Efficiency took priority over consistency. He never kept one of the coins. He never thought they'd matter. But his testimony added a human layer to the mystery. The coins weren't fantasy. They were born from chaos, from transition, from the imperfections that hide inside vast systems. It was never deliberate. Just a moment that slipped quietly into history, unnoticed, until sharp eyes decades later gave it new meaning. Today, the 1982 small date copper penny remains a pinnacle of error coin collecting. Its value has climbed steadily, with top examples approaching $120,000 in private offers. Museums have requested loans. Grading companies have updated their catalogs. And collectors, new and old, still chase the dream of finding one more. It is the story of a mistake that became magic, a scent that defied expectation. And in its soft copper sheen lies not just the glint of metal, but the unspoken weight of wonder, luck, and the thrill of discovery. In the waning days of the Cold War, as America embraced a new decade of technology, ambition, and political upheaval, the U.S. Mint quietly continued its work. Day after day, machines in Philadelphia and Denver struck millions of coins, most of which would go unnoticed in coffee shops, gas stations, and school lunch lines. The 1-cent penny, still bearing Abraham Lincoln's solemn profile, was as familiar as morning news. But in 1990, amid the hum of routine and the endless shuffle of copper-plated zinc planchets, something slipped through the cracks. A detail so minor, so deceptively ordinary, that it would take years for anyone to even realize what had happened. It wasn't the kind of mistake one could spot at a glance. No misaligned die, no doubled inscription, no dramatic off-center strike. It was an omission. A single missing letter. And not just any letter. The S, mint mark normally used to identify coins struck in San Francisco, was gone. But these weren't coins from Denver or Philadelphia. They were proof coins, minted with extra care and precision for collectors. They were supposed to be perfect. In 1990, the U.S. Mint struck special proof sets intended for numismatists and hobbyists. These sets, typically created in San Francisco, bore the S mint mark to signify their origin. The proof pennies that year were expected to follow suit. Highly polished dies and carefully treated planchets produced mirror-like coins that never entered circulation. Each was a deliberate, pristine product, stored in protective packaging, sold directly to those who value the craftsmanship. But for reasons still uncertain, a few of those 1990 proof pennies, just a handful, were struck without the S. They looked like ordinary 1990 pennies. Same bright copper sheen, same date, same Lincoln profile. But there it was, no mint mark beneath the date. A ghost in the coinage. And that's how it began. The first known discovery came not from a seasoned expert, but from a young collector named Kevin, sorting through his father's old proof sets late one rainy afternoon in Ohio. He was flipping through the 1990 set when he paused, confused by what looked like a plain cent. He peered closer. No. S. His heart beat faster. He pulled out another set. That one had the mint mark. So did the next. But the strange one stayed silent, refusing to identify its birthplace. Kevin didn't panic. Instead, he did what any curious collector might. He posted a message on a small online coin forum, attaching a grainy photo. Most dismissed it, said it had to be a regular circulation penny swapped into the case. But a few old-timers took a deeper look. The surfaces gleamed like a proof coin. The fields were pristine. The frosted devices were clear and deliberate. This wasn't a switcheroo. It was real. Word spread quickly. Kevin sent the coin to a grading service. Weeks passed. When it returned, it came encapsulated and authenticated. 1990 NOS proof Lincoln sent. It was official. Only a few had ever been found. Experts began combing through their own collections. Coin dealers started offering bounties for sealed proof sets containing the elusive NOS cent. People began shaking proof cases under lamps, watching for that telltale mirror finish and mint mark absence. Panic turned to obsession. Collectors had to know, was it just a fluke, a one-time slip, or were there more out there? Turns out, there were a few. Very few. The 1990 NOS penny was the result of a die error, where a proof die without the mint mark was mistakenly used. And because proof dies were carefully managed and tightly controlled, such an error should have been impossible. Yet it had happened before, in 1968, 1970, 1975, and 1983, but each time, only in tiny numbers, the die, once used, was pulled quickly. But by then, the damage or magic was done. These weren't errors from neglect. They were born in a setting where precision was paramount. That irony added weight to their rarity. How, in the middle of a climate-controlled, monitored proof minting environment, could something so glaring go unnoticed? Theories sprouted, but answers remained elusive. In the years that followed, the coin gained mythic status. Only a few dozen examples were known to exist. The public, always hungry for hidden treasures, began checking their sealed 1990 proof sets. Many were opened. Dealers reported surges in demand for unopened 1990 sets, which suddenly sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands, on the chance of finding the one without the S. The coin's value climbed steadily. In the early 2000s, examples sold for between $5,000 and $10,000 depending on condition. By 2010, as more collectors entered the scene and fewer sets remained unopened, prices reached $15,000. Each verified specimen added to the legend, but also fed the sense that a finite limit existed. The supply was not just small, it was shrinking. In 2012, a particularly high-grade NOS proof penny appeared at auction. It was flawless deep cameo contrast, razor-sharp strike, pristine surfaces. The kind of coin that makes a room fall silent. Bidding opened at $10,000, but rapidly escalated. It sold for just over $20,000. The winner, a private collector from Chicago, never revealed their identity. The seller? None other than Kevin. It was his original coin. Even with examples in the wild, the mystery remained intact. Every time a new one was found, it came with stories. One emerged from an unopened safe in Kansas, another from a forgotten collection in Oregon. Each carried a whisper of how close it had come to being missed entirely, to being lost in time. And then came the unexpected twist. In 2020, a sealed 1990 proof set was submitted for evaluation by a retired coin shop owner in New Jersey. When examined, not only did it contain a 1990 NOS penny, but the entire set, every coin, was struck from dies missing mint marks. It was an anomaly inside an anomaly. Experts were baffled. No record existed of such a full-proof set. The coins were all legitimate, all proof quality, but lacked any mint origin. The set was dubbed the Ghost Set. Its value couldn't be calculated in traditional terms. Museums were interested. Collectors whispered of bidding wars that might break six figures. But the owner refused to sell. It remained, as of now, one of the most mysterious and tightly held discoveries in recent numismatic history. The 1990 NOS penny isn't dramatic in appearance. It's subtle, quiet. It hides its rarity behind the absence of something rather than its presence. But that's what makes it extraordinary. It's a coin that invites close attention, that rewards those who question the ordinary. As of today, its confirmed value for top-grade examples sits confidently above $25,000. For coins in perfect proof condition with deep cameo contrast, private sales have reached as high as $33,000. And it's entirely possible, perhaps even likely, that a few more still lie waiting, untouched, in the quiet corners of forgotten proof sets, and somewhere, maybe even in a dusty drawer or a forgotten gift from years ago, another small coin without a mint mark waits to remind someone that sometimes the most astonishing things are hidden in what's missing. In the final months of the Obama administration, as the nation buzzed with the tension of an impending election year and shifting cultural tides, the U.S. Mint carried on with its steady rhythm. Machines rolled, dies pressed, copper-plated zinc planchets clinked into bins, and the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln continued its journey into the pockets and palms of Americans. The 2016 one-cent coin was supposed to be just another chapter in a long, uninterrupted story of American coinage. But buried in that year's production was a quiet disruption, an error so subtle it almost vanished into the mundane. And yet, it didn't. The 2016 penny wasn't a flashy redesign or commemorative issue. It carried the same trusted design that had endured for decades. Lincoln's profile on the obverse, the Union shield on the reverse, the words, "In God we trust, liberty," and the date stamped without ceremony. But the trouble or the intrigue began deep within the presses at the Philadelphia Mint. Among the billions of coins minted that year, a few emerged looking off. Not enough to alarm a casual observer, not enough to stop a vending machine, but something in the details didn't sit right with the collectors who live for anomalies. For one collector in North Carolina, the realization came under the glare of a magnifying lamp. His routine was simple: roll, search, sort, and set aside anything remotely curious. But when he turned over a 2016 penny, something felt different. The coin's surface was clean, yet unusually smooth in some areas. The details on Lincoln's jacket were faint. The Union shield on the reverse, normally crisp and structured, looked softly struck as if pressed with a tired hand. He turned it over again. The devices were muddled. He blinked, thinking it might be a smudge, but no, it was struck that way. Then came the second clue. The edges were slightly concave, the rim not fully formed. The color, too, looked muted under the light. He'd stumbled onto something unexpected. He posted photos online, where a few dismissed it as post-mint damage. But others noticed the telltale signs of a misstep at the mint itself, specifically a struck-through grease error. During the coining process, grease or debris can accumulate on the die, preventing it from fully striking the design onto the planchet. The result? Coins that look soft, blurry, with ghost-like details. They're subtle mistakes, but when found on fresh coins, especially in uncirculated rolls, they draw attention. But this 2016 penny had something else going on. The coin wasn't just struck through. As more collectors began comparing their 2016 finds, reports of off-center strikes, die cracks, and even double dies began trickling in. It wasn't a single dramatic blunder. It was a year that seemed prone to quiet, widespread inconsistencies. Some speculated it had to do with die fatigue. Others pointed to increased production pressure. Whatever the cause, 2016 pennies had a pattern of peculiarities. One Florida dealer, sorting through boxes of bank-wrapped cents, found a 2016 D penny with clear doubling on Liberty. Not the dramatic kind that jumps out, but the kind that reveals itself slowly, like a hidden layer. He sent it to a grading service, and sure enough, it was labeled as a double die obverse, a recognized variety. It wasn't long before collectors began chasing this specific error, along with the struck-through examples and weak strikes. But then, a twist. A coin show in Las Vegas brought forward something nobody expected. A private seller laid out a 2016 penny unlike any other seen before. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile was mostly intact, but his ear and jawline appeared partially missing. The reverse showed a distorted shield, as if melted at the edges. At first glance, it looked like damage. But under high magnification, numismatists realized what they were seeing, an improperly annealed planchet. The coin's surface was not only misstruck, it had undergone thermal damage before the die even touched it. It was a rare combination of two errors, improper alloy mixture and strike weakness, resulting in a coin that appeared to be melting from within. The crowd buzzed. Error collectors took photos. The coin was quickly submitted for certification, and when it came back, it bore a dramatic label. 2016 1C improper alloy / struck through weak strike, mint error. It was, effectively, a cocktail of chaos, a perfect storm of minting anomalies, all captured in a single cent. From there, interest in 2016 pennies skyrocketed. Collectors began hoarding mint rolls from that year, combing through them in search of errors. Some discovered off-center strikes ranging from 5 to 15%. Others found planchets with visible lamination peels, thin layers lifting off the surface. A few even uncovered partial collar strikes, where the rim of the coin appeared expanded or split. Each new error fueled the hunt, and with time, values began to climb. While most 2016 pennies were still worth 1 cent, the rare and verified mint error versions were commanding hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on the severity and clarity of the mistake. A 2016 double die obverse penny graded MS67 RD sold at auction for $1,500 in 2021. Another, featuring a broad strike with missing rim and a rotated reverse, fetched $1,800 in a private online sale. One of the most dramatic and properly annealed examples was auctioned in 2023 for an astonishing $3,600. And those were just the ones that made headlines. The value evolution was slow, deliberate. As more error varieties were cataloged, prices adjusted accordingly. Some early finds were resold years later at double or triple the original price, especially when accompanied by full certification and clean photographic documentation. Still, the mystery remains. Why so many errors in a single, seemingly ordinary year? Some blame aging equipment. Others suggest personnel turnover, rushed deadlines, or simple statistical probability. The U.S. Mint, as always, stayed silent. They neither confirmed nor denied anything beyond routine quality assurance reports. But the numbers tell their own story. 2016 produced over 9.1 billion pennies, one of the highest totals in decades. In that ocean of copper-plated zinc, a few oddities were bound to slip through. But the ones that did well, they left their mark. And while the 2016 penny might never rival the fame of the 1943 bronze cent or the 1955 double die, it holds a special place in the hearts of modern error collectors. It's a reminder that even now, in a world of automation and precision, human error and a little mystery still finds its way into circulation. Today, high-grade 2016 penny errors, those certified and visually compelling, can fetch anywhere from $300 to $4,500, depending on type and rarity. The finest known struck-through example currently holds an estimated market value of $5,200. So the next time you glance at a penny, especially one dated 2016, take a closer look. What seems ordinary at first might just be the quiet whisper of a story waiting to be uncovered.